Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of the Daily Bullet. I'm Paul Lathrop. Joining me today on the show is Kainoa. I already screwed it up. Kaku. Kainoa. I'm very sorry. You know, and one of the things, just as a total side note as we get started, one of the things I always hate is announcers saying "my good friend" and then blowing the name.
Yeah, so we actually have a we have a long running joke with we do a lot of work with the NRA, obviously being their affiliate in Hawaii. But Mike Carey has been our representative for all of our FNRA dinners forever, and we just love hearing him mispronounce names every single year. It's an absolute treat. Yeah.
So you are president of the Hawaii Rifle Association, and I've been doing radio and podcasts around the Second Amendment for almost 9 years now. Everything I've heard about Hawaii is not front and center in the lower 48. Not everybody talks about Hawaii, but in what I've heard and what I've been able to absorb over my time in radio and podcasts and now video, Hawaii is among one of the most challenged states when it comes to Second Amendment freedoms. Am I right there?
You're absolutely right. So we basically don't have a means to carry firearms outside the home, whether it's open or concealed. We've had several lawsuits filed, in the last couple of decades. None have met fruition. There's currently one, Young v. Hawaii, that was just heard by the Ninth District Court en banc. So we should have a decision in the next, half a year, probably. But yeah, extremely restrictive in Hawaii. The most restrictive aspect of owning a firearm in Hawaii is the inability to carry a firearm for self-defense. And in fact, up until 2010, we weren't even a castle doctrine state. We were a retreat state. So that I'm proud to say that the Hawaii Rifle Association was a part of that in getting a castle doctrine passed in 2010. But before, the law stated that if someone broke into your house and there was another way to get out, you were supposed to take that way out instead of defending your property. Yeah, so good times in Hawaii.
Yeah. Well, I've already deviated quite a bit from the way we usually do these. Let's go ahead and go back and start with talking about Hawaii Rifle Association. How long has Hawaii Rifle Association been around, and what do you folks? How did you get started?
So the Hawaii Rifle Association actually predates the National Rifle Association. It was founded in 1857. It's actually really hard to find history on the HRA, but obviously in the last 20 to 40 years, we've taken a stance of supporting and defending the Second Amendment as much as we possibly can in Hawaii, and we've been affiliated with the NRA for a couple of decades. I just took over as the president this April in the middle of a pandemic. Our last president had to take off for personal issues and to take care of himself. And previous to him, Harvey Gerwig was our president for 15 years. So he's really been at the helm since the turn of the century. But that's the origin of the HRA, and my true goal is to focus more on training and education. As important as working the law front is, it makes my skin crawl every time I have to deal with these politicians. And what I would like to do is focus more on the training aspect and help to create more moral self-defenders is really my goal. Sure.
So with such a long history, I mean, I don't expect you to go back to 1930, but what for HRA recently, what are some successes that you've had there in Hawaii?
So what people need to realize about Hawaii is that we have been a Democrat-run state for the last 60 years. And prior to that, Hawaii was created when the United States came in. It really became a plantation state. This is where your pineapples, where your sugarcane came from before it was outsourced to different countries. So there's a real plantation mentality in Hawaii, where we've got the masters, we've got the the men on horseback that are running the farmers, and then we've got the cattle. and right now, for as long as I was born and raised here, born in 1984. The only time I spent off the island was when I was in the Marine Corps, and it's a really complacent attitude that we have in Hawaii, especially for Second Amendment rights. And again, it's all due to the culture, the Aloha spirit. I'm sure everyone's heard about the Aloha spirit in Hawaii, and it really leads to complacency among everyone that lives here, and being a less violent state, than other big cities that are in the mainland. People don't really think about it, and this epidemic has really opened a lot of eyes. We've had more interest in people wanting to learn how to use firearms and purchase firearms for self-defense than ever before. And unfortunately, the Hawaii or Honolulu Police Department and the state has kind of gotten in the way of that. And we can talk about that more at length.
Sure. Well, why don't we just go straight into that? What have been some of the roadblocks they've thrown up?
Sure. So, like I said, we're a Democrat-run state. And I mean 99.9% of all elected officials are Democrats. So they can basically pass whatever they want. I'm not saying every Democrat is bad. We've got a lot of blue dogs left over from the Reagan era. So there are definitely Democrats that work with us, that are our friends, that come shoot with us. Fantastic people. But the overwhelming majority is shifting more towards this far-left ideology. So really our last huge victory was in 2010 in giving us the Castle Doctrine. And since then, the Hawaii Rifle Association has unfortunately really just been a tourniquet. We filed our lawsuits trying to get concealed carry and open carry. We've got another lawsuit with that was filed with the NRA, and I think they tied that into the Young v. Hawaii. But we've really been a tourniquet, for the last 10, 15 years, to trying to hold off all the atrocious bills that have been trying to pass through the legislature and state house. I mean, this year we had 45 bills that were anti-gun, and fortunately only 2 of them got through. But yeah, I mean, that's the huge challenge is dealing with a state legislature or state government that really does not want citizens to be able to carry firearms for self-defense. In fact, a lot of them don't even want us to be able to own firearms, and representatives have said as much. So it's really trying to reach out to these people and educate them, and just try to change some it's hearts and minds. It's hearts and minds is really the only campaign that we have to run here in Hawaii. So we need to focus on education and really show these people who we are, and that's been our greatest struggle. Is they all think we're gun-toting maniacs. Whatever lies that are perpetrated by the media, that's the lie that's told. Yeah.
So as a gun owner in Hawaii, you cannot, obviously the Heller decision gave us all the ability to carry within our own homes, but that's it for Hawaii. If somebody wants to go out to a shooting range and go practice with their firearm, what do they have to go through in Hawaii to do that?
So the range situation varies by island. In Oahu, the main island, I don't want to say that, it's going to piss everyone. I don't care. So Oahu is the main island. For all my neighbor island friends, if that upsets you, I apologize. But we have one range here, one public range, which is Koko Head. So to buy a handgun in Hawaii and buying a rifle in Hawaii, they're different processes. If you want to buy a rifle in Hawaii, you go down to HPD. You go through the permitting process, which includes a 2-week wait. You need to get a signed letter by a doctor saying you're not crazy or aren't suffering from a brain disease. You need to sign medical releases, waivers, mental health waivers, releasing all of your medical information to HPD, which usually involves them sending a letter to your doctor. If you have a personal doctor or a primary care physician, they send your primary care physician a letter and they ask, is there any reason you have that this person should not own a gun? And if your doctor says this guy shouldn't have a gun, then your right is denied. Okay. So you wait the 2 weeks. You also have to pay a wrap-back fee. So wrap-back, for people who don't know, is an FBI database. People in positions of authority like teachers, school drivers, police officers, they're required to be in wrap-back in case, which is a national database. And so if you're in another state and you do something bad, it gets reported back to your home state so that they can remove you from your position of authority. and that's what it was designed for. So our state legislature passed a law requiring all gun owners to be put into RATBAC. We told them it would never work because it's a federal database, but they're like, oh, no, it'll work. And the FBI has actually hasn't put anyone into this database. So it's been active for years, 2 or 3 years, and they've got millions of dollars just sitting somewhere. We don't know. And yeah, that's amazing. But yeah, so millions of dollars sitting in a fund that was supposed to be used to put gun owners in a federal database, and no one is in the federal database. It's still a law. They're still charging people. It is a one-time fee. So there's a $42 extra price tag on top of getting your permit. Okay.
Wow.
So I know this is long.
And we're talking, no, that's fine. But we're talking about buying. We're not even talking about possession yet.
Yeah, we're not even talking about possession yet. We're just talking about getting to the point to be able to buy your own firearm. So after your 2-week wait, after you get all the necessary paperwork delivered to HPD, you get your permit. Your rifle permit lasts for 1 year. After that year, you need to go through that entire process again. With the rifle permit, you can buy as many rifles as you want. And again, it lasts a year. So with pistols, you actually need to take a handgun safety training class. The Hawaii state law requires an NRA instructor. So you have to take a class from an NRA instructor that includes 4 hours of classroom time. It includes a law portion and 2 hours of live fire training. And then you get an affidavit from your instructor, and you have to take that affidavit in with you every time you apply for a handgun permit. Now, the difference between handgun permits, other than that training affidavit, is for every single handgun you buy, you need to apply for a specific permit for it. So if you're buying 4 handguns, you need to apply for 4 separate permits for each handgun. Welcome to Hawaii.
Yeah. What's the cost for a handgun permit?
So the classes generally, for the affidavit, the training affidavit, they usually run between 100 and 150, depending on who you're taking it with. Mm-hmm. There's obviously been a huge demand right now. So most people are charging the maximum just because ammo is so expensive and we need to use ammo in our classes.
Right.
But so here's the additional rub. So that's in a perfect Hawaii. That's how the process works. Since COVID-19 happened, HPD has actually implemented an appointment scheme. Now, I say scheme in the worst meaning of the word, and there's currently a 3-month wait period just to get an appointment to apply for a permit.
3 months. My goodness.
And it's a 3-month wait because that's as far as their appointment system goes out. So there are way more people that want appointments, and this is all open software. You don't need to make some crazy, or you don't need to make a username and ID and include driver's license or something to make sure that you're an actual real person that's applying. So anyone can just jump on and try to fill appointment slots. And we've heard reports of anti-gunners logging onto the website and just taking up appointment slots. It can't be confirmed, but the fact that you can, that HPD is arbitrarily denying the rights to citizens to even apply for a permit to acquire a firearm is absolutely ridiculous. And we've had members go down there and it's empty. It's absolutely empty. There's no one waiting in line. There's no one waiting for slots. And our members are still waiting half an hour to an hour just to complete their permit process. It's absolutely ridiculous. Yeah.
Well, we are just about up on the end of the time we have here. Before we go, I would imagine, you do not have to be a Hawaii resident to become a member of the Hawaii Rifle Association. And if somebody is interested, how can they become a member?
So we are on Facebook, and if you look Hawaii Rifle Association up on Facebook, or you go to our website, hawaiirifleassociation.org, you can sign up to be a member there. And yeah, it'll provide you direct links to jump on and support us.
Yeah, I would recommend, if you live in a freedom-filled state, a state like South Dakota or any of the other constitutional carry states, and your freedoms are doing good, I go ahead and pick up a membership to Hawaii Rifle Association, New Jersey Second Amendment Society. Go to a state where they're in jeopardy of their rights and help them out. So I want to thank you so much for joining us today, man. And I know we're going to be, if you have anything that you have going that you want to talk to us about, let me know. We'll get you back on the air.
Yeah. Just real quick before we go, I do appreciate you having me on to talk about the wonderful state of Hawaii. Like I said, we really try to push education and changing hearts and minds out there. And for 26 years, we've done a shooting sports fair. That's our actual big fundraiser that we do every year. And this, I think, is extremely unique for Hawaii. But the state actually lets us use the range. We get basically entire run of the range. We set up shooting venues, and it's like going to the circus, or not the circus, but to a carnival or something where you buy tickets and people are able to come in and experience firearms, bring their families, and it's a great family event. And this is the first year in 26 years that we haven't had it because of the pandemic. So, I mean, we're definitely hurting. We'll survive, and definitely looking forward to having that again next year. And then getting families out and teaching kids. I mean, you would not believe how many kids show up just to shoot 22s, that just don't have experience with it. And we go through like 50,000 rounds of just 22s. Yeah, so it's a huge event. It's our huge fundraiser. It's what we use to give back, to try and fight these lawsuits and donate to the community as well. But I appreciate you having me on, and I appreciate the support from everyone that's already been supporting us. And if you're thinking about supporting us, again, thank you so much.
All right, very cool. Everybody, excuse me, and I'm going to blow this again. I know I'm going to. Kainoa. It
means the tranquil sea or peaceful ocean.
Oh.
My parents got it wrong. Yeah.
All right. Kainoa Kaku, everybody. Thank you for joining us, man. And for everybody watching, tune in again tomorrow. We'll be back.
All right. Thanks, Paul.
You betcha.